In today's video, we're going to talk about the extreme measures that Nvidia is taking, at least in the public profile, in order to make people feel a little bit better about everything that's going on. It's going to pertain particularly to mining with mining-specific GPUs, as well as nerfing some GPUs. This is very important information, so stay tuned and let's discuss the ramifications. Hey guys, Tiago with Classical Technology here. Some say every time you smash the like button, Nvidia does one more thing that looks good on paper, but in the real world doesn't really benefit gamers nearly as much. Alright, so let's talk about some of these measures that Nvidia publicly is taking against pretty much everything that's going on now with the supply issues and cryptocurrency mining. Now, as a preface, let's talk about the problem at hand. If you've been living under a rock, the main problem is that basically GPUs are perpetually sold out. Not only that, the MSRPs have continued to rise, and it's just very difficult for the regular gamer to get a GPU. Now, even last year with the release of the RTX 3080, things already seemed pretty dire. Now, that seemed like the worst it was going to get, but believe it or not, as we went into 2021, pretty much to the present day now, we're almost in March, we're at the end of February, situation is definitely a lot worse, not only because of the exemptions on tariffs that lapsed, and now we have these higher prices, but cryptocurrency mining has been really at some historic highs. The GPUs now are much more expensive and they actually seem to be a lot more difficult to get. So that's why Nvidia, at least on the public face, they decided to do two main things to address this issue. First, it's going to be their CMP, which is basically a cryptocurrency mining only GPU, if you want to call it that. Now, I can see at least on the public face of it why they would do this. At least it seems like it's, they're creating a product specifically for the miners, and then they said that they basically care about the GeForce gamers, and then the GPUs would particularly go to those gamers. But in the real world, we know that's not going to work out completely like that, and there are going to be many issues with this approach. Let's talk about a few. First, these cryptocurrency only mining GPUs are less powerful than the counterparts that you would get on the GeForce gaming side. Their hash rates are considerably lower, meaning that people that want to mine may still go towards the gaming GPUs. Second, and this is going to be a big issue, those GPUs do not have any type of display port or any way to really be used later on as a gamer. That means that when the cryptocurrency mining boom is over, and it does go in waves, a lot of times they'll go down, that means that those GPUs will basically be worthless because they can't be sold on the secondhand market. In the previous mining boom, when people bought things like 1080 Ti's, after the boom was over, they could turn around and sell them on eBay if they weren't going to mine with them anymore, and a gamer would be able to buy them. Generally, the GPU would be fine. It has a display out. They would pretty much maintain a decent enough resale value, so at least that person gets some of that money back. And of course, this kept a lot of 20 series GPUs from being sold because the market was pretty much flooded with cheaper 10 series GPU coming off the mining boom. Now, if these GPUs don't have any type of HDMI or display port, if they can't be powered at all, that means that they're pretty much useless to gamers, and gamers are not going to have an influx of these used GPUs on the secondhand market, so they're going to have to buy whatever Nvidia is selling. So that's certainly quite a bit of a disadvantage to gamers. Even though on paper it seems nice that miners will get their own GPUs, in practice there are many ramifications to doing this, and they're really not nearly all very positive for gamers. So that's definitely one very important point to consider. Another reason why this may not be such a hot deal, even though they're completely separate, even if Nvidia are using different dies and different manufacturing processes to make these GPUs, it still has to come from somewhere. It's still resources that they could put and pile on to the actual gaming and GeForce side. Now, of course, technically it's separate, it's different. Maybe it's dies that they wouldn't have normally used for GPUs like this, but maybe if they really tried, I think they could have combined whatever resources they're going to expend on this. And of course, just because it's cryptocurrency mining specific GPUs, still a large amount of time has to go into them. They have to manufacture them, they have to test them, they have to sell them. It may be a faster process than selling the GeForce gaming card, but at the end of the day, it's still time and resources that Nvidia could really focus on the gaming cards. Now, if creating these specific GPUs for mining, and yes, I still call them GPUs, it's basically what they still are. If they had an HDMI port or something like that, I bet they would work as a GPU. Now, if creating them creates a large abundance in the market for miners and they're happy with them, ideally that would be great and they wouldn't look at the gaming GPUs. But in the real world, I really doubt it's going to work like that, especially if they're priced higher or really close to the gaming counterparts that may have higher performance in cryptocurrency mining. So this is really something we're going to have to keep an eye on. But in general, while it looks good on paper, I really don't think this is going to be a move that's going to benefit gamers. In fact, it may actually end up being quite detrimental when after the mining boom is over. Like we mentioned before, you're not going to have that influx of used GPUs on the market to buy. They're going to have to go for whatever's new at the time. And then a second reaction from Nvidia that's happening, the RTX 3060, which is coming out in a few days. Apparently, according to Nvidia, they're going to put the hash rate in half. So that means that these are not going to have the best return on investment, something that cryptocurrency miners really look after. Now, Nvidia said this is going to be perhaps tamper proof, meaning that, a miner can't just upload a different firmware or something like that and get it to work at its full rate. But we've already seen some reports, one even from Tom's Hardware, that mentioned that a 3060 was mining at its full potential. Now, this GPU hasn't been released, so maybe it'll be some type of firmware update along with some type of hardware mechanism that keeps the mining from being realized to its full potential. Now, once again, on paper, you may think it looks good. You're going to think, oh, miners aren't going to want this GPU because the performance is going to be terrible, therefore more for gamers. But that also creates many other issues. First, the possibility of it actually being able to be modified. Who knows what's going to happen? And then second, let's say if a gamer bought that GPU and they wanted to mine with it on their spare time, just leave it in their rig sort of paying for itself. That's going to hamper the person that has maybe just one or two GPUs and they want to mine to get some of their investment back. We're going to have to see how it plays out, but judging by how prices have been as well as availability, 3060 doesn't seem to be any better than the other GPUs that came before it. I still think it's going to be a very complicated launch. Alright guys, so let me know down below what you think of these changes that Nvidia is doing. Of course, on the surface and on paper, they may look good. They may look like it's going to be better news for gamers, but like we mentioned in the video, when we analyze some of these points, we see that there's a lot going on here and some of it will be detrimental towards gamers. Unfortunately, we're just in a very tough time for PC gaming, specifically due to these GPUs. So leave a comment below. Remember to smash that like button, subscribe if you like the content, and I'll see you guys on the next video.